The guard's hand came up like a wall. Service entrance is around back. Amara Okafor did not step back, did not flinch, just stood in her simple black dress, the one she'd ironed that morning in her studio apartment, holding a small clutch that had belonged to her grandmother. "I'm a guest," she said quietly. The guard's eyes swept over her, lingered, decided. "Ma'am, this is a private diplomatic event. If you're with the catering staff, I'm not. Then you'll need to show identification and proof of invitation." Amara reached into her clutch. Slowly, the way she'd learned to move in spaces like this. No sudden gestures, nothing that could be misread. She produced an envelope, cream-colored, embossed. "The Ambassador of the United States cordially invites." The guard barely glanced at it. "Anyone can print these. I need government-issued ID." Behind her, a white couple in evening wear approached. The guard's face transformed, smile, nod, a small bow. "Good evening. Welcome." They passed through without showing anything at all. Amara stood there. The embassy loomed behind the gates, white columns, glowing windows, the hum of a string quartet drifting into the Washington, D.C. twilight. No trembling lip, no raised voice, just stillness, heavier than rage. "Ma'am," the guard said, voice hardening, "I'm going to have to ask you to leave." Amara looked at him, really looked, memorized his face. Then she reached into her clutch again and produced a second ID. The guard took it, frowned, squinted. His face went pale. Behind him, a voice called out, sharp, urgent, "Stop." Ambassador Catherine Morland appeared at the gate, moving fast despite her heels, her silver gown catching light. She looked at Amara, at the guard, at the ID in his shaking hand. "Ms. Okafor," the ambassador said, and her voice carried the weight of someone whose entire career had just tipped on a knife's edge. "I am so deeply sorry." 12 hours earlier, Amara had been folding laundry when the call came. Her phone, a refurbished model, 2 years old, buzzed on the kitchen counter of the apartment she shared with 2 roommates in Anacostia. She didn't recognize the number. "Hello. Is this Amara Okafor?" "Speaking. Ms. Okafor, this is Diane Shin from the State Department Protocol Office. We've been trying to reach you." Amara set down the towel she'd been folding. "Regarding tonight's reception at the embassy. You're listed as a guest of honor, but we haven't received your RSVP. The ambassador wanted to personally confirm your attendance." Amara's throat tightened. "I didn't receive an invitation." A pause. Typing. "That's odd. It was sent to your address 4 weeks ago. Physical mail and email. I didn't get either." More typing. "I'm looking at the delivery confirmation now. It shows, oh no. It was sent to the ambassador's office at the Nigerian embassy, not your residence." Amara closed her eyes. "Of course. Ms. Okafor, I apologize for the confusion. The event is tonight at 7. It's a reception honoring emerging leaders in international development. You were nominated by 3 different agencies. The ambassador specifically requested your presence. I don't have anything to wear to. Please, come as you are. This is important." Amara looked around her apartment, at the secondhand furniture, the textbooks stacked on the coffee table. She was finishing her PhD while working 2 jobs. At the dress hanging in her closet, the one she wore to church. "What time did you say?" 7. "I'll have your name at the gate. Amara Okafor. I'll make sure there are no issues." There were issues. Amara had taken the metro, then walked 6 blocks in shoes that pinched. She'd arrived at 7:14. The invitation printed from the email Diane had forwarded, her government ID tucked in her clutch. The guard hadn't cared about any of it. Not until the second ID, the one she carried but rarely showed. The one that identified her not as Amara Okafor, PhD candidate working part-time as a legislative aide, but as Dr. Amara Okafor, special advisor to the Deputy Secretary of State for African Affairs, a position she'd accepted 3 weeks ago. Quietly. The announcement wasn't public yet, wouldn't be until the following month. But the ID was real. The clearance was real. And the guard had just refused entry to a senior State Department official. Now, Ambassador Morland stood at the gate, her face a careful mask of diplomacy stretched thin over panic. "Ms. Okafor, please. Come in. I'll escort you personally." The guard stepped aside, mute. Amara didn't move immediately. Let the moment stretch. "I'd like his name," she said softly. The ambassador's eyes widened. "Of course. Yes. We'll absolutely address this." Tonight. Tonight. You have my word. Amara walked through the gate. The ambassador fell into step beside her, heels clicking on marble. I cannot apologize enough. This is unacceptable. You are a guest of honor. I'm a black woman in a $15 dress, Amara said, voice calm. Factual. He saw exactly what he expected to see. That doesn't make it. No, it doesn't. They entered the embassy. Chandeliers. Waiters with champagne. Diplomats and politicians, and people whose lives were built on the assumption that power looked a certain way. Amara moved through them like water. Unbothered. Unimpressed. But inside, a decision was crystallizing. She'd spent years being patient. Being twice as good. Proving herself in rooms where she was the only one. She was tired of proving. Ambassador Moreland guided her to a private side room. Please, wait here. I need to make a call. This guard, he'll be removed. Immediately, Amara sat, watched through the doorway as the party continued. Laughter. Plinking glasses. Oblivious. She thought about leaving. Calling a car. Going home. But then she thought about every other woman who'd been turned away. Who didn't have a second ID. Who'd believed the guard when he said they didn't belong. So she stayed. And when Ambassador Moreland returned, Amara looked up with a question that would change everything. Who else is working tonight? Ambassador Moreland blinked. I'm sorry. Security. Staff. Who else is on duty? There's a full team. Private contractors. Embassy personnel. Why? I want to meet them, Amara said. All of them. The ambassador's mouth opened. Closed. She was a career diplomat, fluent in 7 languages, skilled at navigating coups and trade negotiations. But this quiet request from a woman she'd just watched be humiliated, left her scrambling. Ms. Okafor, I assure you, the guard who stopped you will face consequences. I don't want consequences. Amara stood. Smoothed her dress. I want to understand if this is policy or pattern. A pause. Then, quieter. You think this has happened before? I know it has. The ambassador studied her. Really looked at her, perhaps for the first time. Saw not a victim to be managed, but someone with authority. She hadn't yet wielded. Give me 10 minutes. The embassy's security office was in the basement. Concrete floors. Fluorescent lights. 6 guards on rotation. 3 currently monitoring screens showing every entrance. Amara entered with Ambassador Moreland, and the room went still. The supervisor, a thick-necked man named Patterson, stood quickly. Ambassador, is there a problem? Ms. Okafor was denied entry tonight. I'd like to review your protocols. Patterson's eyes flicked to Amara. Dismissed her just as quickly. Ma'am, we have strict procedures. If someone doesn't have proper credentials, I had an invitation and government ID, Amara said. Then there must have been a misunderstanding. There was no misunderstanding. Your guard told me the service entrance was around back before I'd said a single word. Silence. Patterson's jaw worked. I'll review the footage. Do that, Ambassador Moreland said. Now. He pulled up the feed. There she was, approaching the gate. The guard stepping forward. The hand coming up. No audio, but the body language told the story. Then the white couple. Waved through. Not a single question. Patterson cleared his throat. I'll speak to Mitchell. This won't happen again. Mitchell? Amara asked. The guard. He's new. Still learning. How new? 6 months. Amara turned to the ambassador. I'd like to see the incident reports. Any complaints filed against security in the last year. Patterson stiffened. Those are internal. Ms. Okafor has clearance, Ambassador Moreland said quietly. And then, because she was good at her job and could feel the ground shifting, get her the files. There were 9 complaints. Amara read them in a conference room while the gala continued upstairs. The ambassador had excused herself to manage guests, but she'd left Diane Shun, the woman from protocol, to assist. Diane sat across from her, face tight. I didn't know there were this many. Most people don't report, Amara said. It's easier to just leave. The complaints were similar. Black and brown guests questioned, delayed, asked for extra documentation, while white attendees passed through freely. 2 incidents involved actual embassy staff, employees with badges, being told to use alternate entrances. All dismissed as miscommunications. Amara set down the last file. Who hired Mitchell? Patterson, I think. He runs the security contract. And who oversees Patterson? Diane hesitated. The embassy's chief of operations. Give me a meeting. Now. Now. James Kensington had the look of a man promoted beyond his competence. Flushed face. Expensive suit worn badly. He arrived in the conference room radiating annoyance. Ambassador Moreland said this was urgent. I have guests. Your security team has a discrimination problem, Amara said. Kensington stopped. Looked at her properly for the first time. I'm sorry, who are you? Diane started to answer, but Amara raised a hand. She reached into her clutch. Produced the ID again. Kensington's face went through a series of expressions. Confusion. Recognition. Fear. Dr. Okafor. We weren't told you'd be here. Clearly. He sat heavily. This is about the gate incident. I've already been briefed. Mitchell made a mistake. Mitchell is a symptom. I want to know about the system. I don't understand. Amara slid the complaint files across the table. 9 incidents. Same pattern. All dismissed. That's not coincidence. That's culture. Kensington flipped through the pages, his flush deepening. These were investigated. Protocol issues, not discrimination. A black staffer was told to show her badge 3 times while her white colleague walked in with a visitor's pass. That's not protocol. Security has discretion. Discretion that's only applied to people who look like me. The room went quiet. Kensington set down the files. When he spoke again, his voice was careful. Political. Dr. Okafor, I appreciate your concerns, but you're not officially in your new role yet, and internal security matters are sensitive. Amara leaned back, studied him. She could push, escalate, make this a formal complaint that would take months to wind through State Department bureaucracy, where she could do what she'd learned to do in 10 years of navigating institutions built to exclude her. She could go around him. You're right, she said. I'm not official yet, but I am a guest of the ambassador. I do have top-level clearance, and I'm scheduled to meet with the deputy secretary Monday morning. Kensington paled. I wonder what he'd think, Amara continued, voice soft, about a U.S. embassy operating security protocols that violate equal access policies, especially 3 weeks before the African Development Forum, when we're hosting ministers from 16 countries. She let that sit. 16 ministers, she repeated. Most of them black. All of them watching how we treat people who look like them. Kensington's throat worked. What are you suggesting? I'm not suggesting anything. I'm telling you. You have 48 hours to audit your entire security operation, review every contractor, retrain every guard, and you'll invite an external civil rights monitor to observe. That's non-negotiable. I don't have authority to, then find someone who does. Diane, silent until now, spoke up. The ambassador does. And after tonight, I don't think she'll object. Kensington looked between them. Trapped. 48 hours, Amara repeated. He nodded. Once. Sharp. Now, Amara said, standing. I believe there's a reception upstairs. And I was invited. She found Ambassador Moreland near the champagne fountain, mid-conversation with a senator. The ambassador's eyes widened slightly when she saw Amara approach. Senator, allow me to introduce Dr. Amara Okafor. She'll be joining State as Special Advisor on African Affairs. The senator's handshake was firm. Appraising. Okafor. Nigerian. My parents. I was born in Maryland. And your focus? Economic development. Infrastructure. Partnership models that don't repeat colonial extraction. His eyebrows rose. Direct. I like that. I find it saves time. He laughed. Actually laughed. Catherine, you found a good one. Don't let her get poached by defense. When he moved on, Ambassador Moreland turned to Amara. You met with Kensington. I did. And he has 48 hours to fix this. I assume you'll make sure he takes it seriously. The ambassador's smile was small. Genuine. I already sent the memo. Amara felt something loosen in her chest. Just slightly. Thank you, she said. No. Thank you for not walking away. Amara stayed 2 more hours. She met the head of USAID, a Kenyan economist she'd cited in her dissertation, and a congresswoman who asked for her card 3 times before Amara gently reminded her they'd met twice before, both times in this same building. Near midnight, she finally left. Mitchell, the guard, was gone. A different person manned the gate. Older, a black woman who nodded respectfully and said, "Good night, Dr. Okafor. Safe travels." Amara walked the 6 blocks back to the metro station, her feet aching, her mind still turning. She didn't feel victorious. Didn't feel vindicated. She felt tired and angry that she'd had to fight it all. Monday morning came fast. Amara arrived at the State Department headquarters in Foggy Bottom at 8 a.m. sharp. Her temporary office was small, shared with 2 other advisors, but it had a window. That felt like something. Diane found her at 9:15. Kensington finished the audit. And 3 contractors terminated. Patterson's been reassigned, and they're bringing in a civil rights consultant to redesign screening protocols. Amara nodded slowly. Good. The ambassador wants to see you. Whenever you have time. Now works. Catherine Morland's office overlooked the Potomac. Photos on the walls, her with 3 presidents, a dozen foreign leaders, various ceremonies where she'd smiled and posed and represented American interests abroad. She stood when Amara entered, gestured to the couch, not the formal chairs across from her desk. A deliberate choice. Coffee. Tea. I'm fine, thank you. The ambassador sat across from her. I wanted you to hear this directly. Mitchell's been terminated. Not reassigned, terminated. And we're implementing mandatory bias training for all embassy security, domestic and foreign posts. That's a start. It's not enough. I know that. Catherine folded her hands. I've been in this job 3 years. I thought I was paying attention. Clearly, I wasn't. It's hard to see what doesn't affect you directly. That's not an excuse. No, Amara agreed. It's not. Silence. Then Catherine leaned forward. I want you to know, what you did Friday night, that wasn't just about one guard. You exposed a systemic failure. And you didn't do it by making a scene or threatening lawsuits. You did it by being smarter than everyone in the room. Amara's expression didn't change. I did it because I had credentials they couldn't dismiss. Most people don't. Which is why your voice in this role matters so much. My voice or my ID? Catherine flinched. Slightly. Both. I won't lie to you. State needs more people like you. Not just for optics, though God knows we need that too, but because the way we've been operating isn't working. We preach partnership and equality while our own security guards turn away black visitors. That hypocrisy undermines everything. Amara studied her, saw genuine discomfort, maybe even shame. I need to know you'll support me, Amara said quietly, when I make people uncomfortable. Because I will. I'm counting on it. Even if those people are ambassadors, deputy secretaries. Catherine didn't hesitate. Especially then. Amara leaned back. Let herself breathe. Okay, she said. Then let's get to work. 6 weeks later, Amara stood in the same embassy where she'd been turned away. The African Development Forum was in full session. Ministers, economists, and activists filled the halls. Security had been transformed. Diverse team, clear protocols, a civil rights monitor who reported directly to the ambassador. No one was turned away. No one was questioned twice. Amara watched from the sidelines as a young Ghanaian woman, an entrepreneur invited to present on agricultural tech, walked through the gate without hesitation. The guard smiled, checked her name, welcomed her in. Simple. Dignified. The way it should have always been. Ambassador Morland appeared beside her. Penny for your thoughts? Just remembering. Good memories? Amara considered. Necessary ones. Catherine nodded. For what it's worth, you've changed how we operate. Not just here. 8 other embassies have adopted the new protocols. And the secretary himself asked about you last week. What did he want to know? If you'd consider a bigger role. Something public-facing. He thinks you'd be good at it. Amara turned. What do you think? Catherine smiled. I think you'll do whatever serves the mission. Whether that's visible or not. Smart woman. I learned from the best. That evening, Amara returned to her apartment in Anacostia. Her roommates were out. The place was quiet. She made tea, her grandmother's blend, sent from Lagos, and sat by the window. Her phone buzzed. A message from Diane. Saw the forum went well. You should be proud. Amara typed back. We should be proud. This was a team effort. Another buzz. This one from a number she didn't recognize. Dr. Okafor, my name is Jennifer Aqua. I'm a graduate student at Howard. I heard about what happened at the embassy. About what you did. I just wanted to say thank you. My sister was turned away from a state event last year. She never reported it. I wish she had someone like you in her corner. Amara stared at the message for a long time. Then she typed, she has me now. If she ever needs anything, you have my email. And tell her to report it. Always. Even when it's hard. I will. Thank you. Amara set the phone down. She thought about Mitchell, the guard. Wondered if he understood why he'd been fired, or if he'd just blamed her for being difficult. She thought about Patterson, reassigned to some desk job, where he couldn't harm anyone. She thought about all the people who'd been turned away before her. The ones who hadn't had a second ID, who'd gone home quietly and never came back. This wasn't revenge. It wasn't even justice, not fully. But it was a door wedged open. A protocol changed. A message sent. You belong here. And if someone tries to tell you otherwise, there are people who will fight for you. Amara finished her tea as the city darkened outside her window. Tomorrow, there would be more work. Another meeting, another fight, another system to dismantle piece by careful piece. But tonight, she allowed herself to rest. Not because the work was done, but because she'd proven, again, that power didn't have to announce itself. It could be quiet, patient, strategic. It could be a woman in a $15 dress, carrying an ID that said she belonged everywhere. And when the gates closed, she didn't have to beg to be let in. She had the authority to change the locks. 3 months later, the State Department released its new equity guidelines. Buried in the appendix, a single line. Special thanks to Dr. Amara Okafor for her leadership in reforming diplomatic access protocols. Most people skipped it. But the ones who needed to see it, the ones who'd been turned away, questioned, dismissed, they saw. And they knew. Someone had fought for them. Someone was still fighting. And the door, at last, was open.